Hello, you fucks. Welcome to John Solo's Slightly Spooky Until I Turn on My Light Beard Brigade. How the fuck are you doing? Everybody all right tonight? Today, we have a treat. As you know, I'm starting up the Storytime segment again, and the Storytime segment is kind of a mix between my work in progress segment and the Storytime thing. It means I can do whatever the fuck I want, which is awesome, because that's what I like to do. So sometimes when I've got a current project that I'm allowed to work on, which today I have a current project I'm not allowed to work on Facebook. When I do, I'll work on that. If I don't, then I will jump in and still tell you a story, which is what we're going to do today. So today we have a special treat because my best friend, Ann Byrde, who is also part of the lovely writing duo of Ann Byrde and Katie Byrde, Ann Katrin Byrde, they wrote a little vampire series. It was called Thicker Than Water. The first book, Love Bites. The first book we did, I don't know, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, somewhere in there. It's kind of hard to keep track now. It's a 4-book series, actually 5 if you count one of the short stories. So we just did a special thing over the last few weeks. We got together and we recorded some epilogues to it. We put it together in a bundle, and the audio bundle released today, I think, maybe yesterday, somewhere in there, just in time for Halloween. Did you notice my spooky Halloween music? I kind of like that. So anyways, I figured, it being Halloween and it being my best friend, I would go ahead and read you all a bit of this story. So go ahead and get it. It's a hell of a deal, too. It's over 30 hours in one bundle, so 30 hours of audio for 1 credit. I hear the narrator could have been better, but it is what it is. So that's what we're doing today. Look at that. The ticker works in every... We're getting good at this shit. So far in this show, nothing is broken. Let's see how it rolls. But I also... my best friend tried to tell me what scene to read, and she did it in Discord earlier, and I couldn't find the message, and of course I didn't remember, and I didn't actually pull up the manuscript until a few minutes ago, so hopefully we get it right. I'm pretty sure I got the right one, pretty sure, kind of, but this one's going to be short and sweet. We're not going to go too awful long, but obviously let me know. Somebody will be kind enough, I'm sure, to drop the link to the book somewhere in the description here, all that good shit, because I also didn't do that, because I'm so freaking prepared. But if you are watching this on YouTube, I'll make sure it's in the description there. Chapter 4, second scene. Thank you very much, Ann Katrin Byrde. I messaged you on Discord, by the way, and you did not respond. I think that you ignore me most of the time now. It is what it is. So, anyways... and I'm responding to comments in the Facebook Live thing. So, we're going to do this. I did prepare enough to look up the voices right before I started here. That's what I was doing when I was looking over here. Right when the video started, I was like, okay, I think I got the voices. So, let me take a sip of this here coffee. By the way, we're going to be doing our morning coffee video again this Sunday, and I should be doing something cool. I should figure out something cool to do. The setup for this scene is one of the main characters, Colin. This is told in the first-person voice of Colin, this particular scene. And he has just left his family, his brothers and his sister. Just left the house, and he's going wandering. Not such a bright idea, since a couple chapters ago he just met a vampire. Leaving my siblings behind, I walked a few feet down the path we had come and shook my head. This visit wasn't doing anything for me, and for some reason I still felt like I was being watched. I slipped one of my hands into my pocket where it closed around the stake I'd brought, proof that I was getting way too damn paranoid. It wasn't until I stepped around the small church building near the entrance of the cemetery that I realized it wasn't all simple paranoia. There was someone there. Leaning against the wall of the church, his arms crossed in front of him and a small smile on his lips as he looked at me through his sunglasses. "Found you," was all the vampire said as he stood there in the shade of the church, but nevertheless in broad daylight. My throat closed up, but I refused to let my fear show. "I thought sunlight hurt you," I managed to say. "It's kind of you to worry about me." I'm not worried about you." Talon pushed himself off the wall and took a step toward me while I took a step back, feeling sunlight brush my hair. There was a part of me that hoped Talon wouldn't be able to leave the shade, as ridiculous as that was. He must have had to cross through sunlight to make it here. I wanted to look up to check for clouds in the sky, but at the same time, I couldn't take my eyes off the man in front of me. I couldn't let him take me by surprise. For now, though, Talon kept standing right where he was, a few feet in front of me. "You don't have to be scared. If anything, I should be the one who has to be careful. You seem to have some interesting tricks up your sleeve." "Yeah, you should stay away," I said, hoping I sounded braver than I felt. Talon's gaze flickered to my hand in my pocket. "You're armed?" "Would you leave the house unarmed if you were being stalked by a vampire?" "I'm not stalking you." "Yeah, sure. It's a total coincidence that you're here. I also enjoy hanging out at graveyards in my free time." Talon simply smiled again. "Who doesn't?" Fuck the guy for being so smooth. "My family is here to mourn. Leave us alone." "I will. I only need a minute of your time first." Talon stepped forward again, and I backed away once more. If he thought I was simply going to stand here... "You're not getting my blood!" Instead of responding, the vampire disappeared from view, and then I felt myself being pushed forward back into the shade of the church. I scrambled to find my footing, but before I could, Talon pulled me upright, his hand on my collar now. "What are you doing?" I demanded. "I promise this won't hurt." My hand tightened around the stake, but I never managed to pull it out before a sharp, pricking sensation at the side of my neck distracted me, accompanied and amplified by the feeling of Talon's lips on my skin. I wanted to ask again what he was doing, even though I already knew, but I couldn't get the words out. My vision blurred and my body went limp. All that was keeping me up right now was Talon's hold, but for some strange reason that didn't bother me. It was as if he hadn't just bit me, but injected something into my bloodstream at the same time, something that felt like liquid calm. My eyes fluttered close, and a sigh escaped my lips. Thoughts began to form in my brain and scattered before they could reach their conclusion. I hadn't been this relaxed since I couldn't even remember. A drop of blood flowed from my veins into Talon's mouth. No, it was more than a drop, and it was more than just my blood. It was as if a part of my very essence flowed along with it, melding with Talon's, as if we were becoming one being, as if we were connected in more ways than just the physical. And still, I didn't move, didn't fight. Instinctively, I knew that this was exactly the way things should be. And then, slowly, the calm that had taken over me gave way to something else, something that ran hot through my veins, starting from my groin. My skin began to tingle, but not in an unpleasant way. It was unlike anything I'd ever experienced before. I wanted more of it. I tried to open my mouth. To do what, I wasn't sure, but probably to beg. It was just my luck that I never got around to doing that before a strange sensation grabbed hold of me. Even though I wasn't moving, I was yanked out of my body. Even though I didn't open my eyes, I saw Talon before me. No, not Talon. Or was it? He looked different, younger. He didn't have any scars, but it had to be him. I recognized those sharp features. He was walking a dog. A German Shepherd. The cars passing him by on the street made me think I'd been dropped back in time several decades, maybe to the 60s or 70s, but I didn't know enough about cars to pinpoint the time period any further than that. There sure were a lot of beetles, though. "Talon!" I called out, but he paid me no mind, as if he couldn't hear me at all, which didn't surprise me because I couldn't even hear myself. It was as if I had no voice. Whatever I was seeing, it wasn't reality, and I wasn't really here. There was a woman in a yellow dress waving at Talon. "Robert," she called. "I'm over here." Who was Robert? With that thought, I was catapulted back out of this dream, or whatever it was. The vampire was still holding onto my collar, but his grip had lightened and his mouth wasn't on me anymore, and judging by the fact that I felt control over my muscles return to me, he hadn't sucked me dry. At the very least, I didn't feel like I was about to topple over and die. Mainly, I just felt disoriented and horny, which was a great mix. What just happened? I asked, trying to ground myself. It was only then that I noticed the look of shock on the vampire's face. Whatever had just transpired between us, it had been unexpected for him, too. He'd taken his sunglasses off as if needing to see me better. His lips looked a little redder, and idly I wondered if that was the color of my blood. I wondered why that made me want him more. I should run a stake through your heart, I heard myself mutter. Stake him and make all this stop. I hadn't been this confused about my emotions since my teenage years when I'd first noticed that my arch-nemesis Jimmy Cole's ass looked damn fine in his new jeans. Good luck getting a stake anywhere near my heart. Finally, Talon let go of me, his features smoothing over. I could tell that he was about to pretend that nothing shocking had happened, but I wasn't going to let him get away with that. I wasn't going to let him get away, period. At least, not without a kiss goodbye. Jesus Christ, what was wrong with me? Who's Robert? I demanded. What the hell were you trying to pull just now, showing me that? I wasn't trying to pull anything, as you so eloquently put it. I don't know what that was. He wasn't lying. I could tell by the soft worry lines on his face, but how could he not know? He was in that vision, or whatever it was we had seen. A younger version of him, but still. You were hot when you were young, I said, without thinking, because, yeah, he had been, and apparently I was still thinking with my little brain. One of his eyebrows arched up. Only when I was young. That's not what I'm saying. No, not at all. I took a step toward the vampire, closing the distance he had opened between us before I could think too much about what a terrible idea that was. There was just something drawing me toward him that defied all logical explanation and certainly all logical action. I should have run. I should have grabbed my stake and driven it through his heart, and yet I did neither of those things. My fingers went to my neck, to the wound that had already closed. My gaze locked with Talon's. His eyes were cold, the eyes of a killer. But there was a flicker of emotion there, however distant. He must have been human once. That was what I'd sensed when he bit me. That was why I wasn't scared. After a second, Talon turned, facing away from me. I've got to go. Wait. He couldn't leave yet. There were so many things I still needed to ask. Talon didn't seem to care for my protests, though. Before I could utter another word, he took another step away from me, and then he turned me completely speechless as his body was enveloped by a black mist, and the next thing I knew, I was watching a falcon fly away. Weren't vampires supposed to be bats? And was that really the most pressing question I had? There you go, a slight little preview of Thicker Than Water by Ann Katrin Byrde. Yeah, it's a good thing for a scary deal. Anyways, the bundle is up for sale now, so you can get it on Amazon and Audible and, I don't know, Blockbuster Video. I don't know where they sell these things, but it's going to be fun. Plus, it's a hell of a deal. 30-some hours for 1 credit. I will be back Sunday for that morning coffee segment. And tomorrow, if anyone is interested, at noon, we're going to be working in Discord again from noon until around 5 or so. That's all JST. Enjoy yourselves. Have fun. Happy fucking Halloween. And I will see you